when we were doing this smart city study 4 years ago, we tried to ascertain from the citizens, the residents of the city, as to what their major concerns were. And one of the major concerns that was flagged among the top 3 was the quality of air. They were not happy with the dust particles, with the smoke, with the NOx and SOx and everything else that comes up from the automobile. And this is actually the driving force. We don't want people to suffer. We don't want people to be difficult to breathe. And we have lots of senior citizens as well as very tiny children who need to get pure air. And the cause of air pollution to a major extent depends on automobile pollution. And it is this that is urging us to go more and more for zero emission vehicles. We had a video conference with Milton Keynes in UK. Milton Keynes is also a relatively new town in UK, that is England, and it is located between London and Oxford or Cambridge. But we tried to twin with that city, and we tried to find out what were the areas of common interest. And one of the things we found that they have created a center of excellence on zero emission vehicles. So we plan to build a center of excellence on electric vehicles. There is so much myth, so much of the unknown with the electric vehicles, so many models coming out every day, each costing more than the other or less than the other. And so what does it feel like? How does the model, each model compare with another? What are the innumerable questions? What if I run out of charge in between? Does it have speed? The innumerable questions which you cannot ask your neighbor as you do for buying a conventional vehicle. So that is sought to be addressed through a center of excellence. So we plan to build a center of excellence on electric vehicles, but before that, on the 24th of this month, that is the last Friday of this month, on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we are going to have an electric vehicle carnival, where all auto manufacturers, two-wheeler e-scooter manufacturers, think of Ola scooter, battery manufacturers, assemblers, think of lithium, think of autonomous or semi-autonomous electric vehicles, think of great minds who are from the auto industry, the battery chargers. We are trying to bring in all stakeholders together in this 3-day carnival and try to create ambience, a kind of mentality for urging people, nudging people into getting into zero emission vehicles, because that is where the future lies. 5 years ago, we had held what we called then an E-Rickshaw Mela. E-Rickshaw Mela, a 3-day affair which the minister flagged off, and we brought in all manufacturers of e-rickshaws, battery-powered 3-wheelers, and so many people came and so much interaction happened that today New Town, Kolkata is having one of the largest population of battery-powered 3-wheelers. And we have put charging stations all around, very simple 15 ampere normal 230 volt supply from the street lamps, and people are getting very benefited. It is in New Town, Kolkata that we have been running for the last 4 years. For the last 4 years, 3 electric vehicles, air-conditioned, I was very insistent, air-conditioned electric vehicles. More than 3 lakh people have actually been served by these 3 vehicles in these 4 years. I can say that with conviction because we have made every ticket only priced 10 rupees. Not that we care for 10 rupees or we recover our costs, but so that we can account for the number of people who are using the electric buses. More recently, the government of West Bengal in the transport department has decided to introduce electric buses in more numbers, 50 electric buses. The charging stations and the servicing stations are all ready. And we hope that within this calendar year, these 50 buses will be flagged off in Newtown, in addition to the 3 being run by us from the city, by the HIDCO authorities. We are also looking at another area of urban transportation, that is point to point, 500 meters to 2 kilometers. 500 meters, we say, is just beyond the capacity to walk. People don't feel very comfortable in the sun to walk more than 500 meters. And so the distance between 500 meters to, let us say, 3-4 kilometers, we intend to fill up by cycles. So what we are doing is that for the only public bicycle shared scheme, where apps-driven cycle, there are 25 docking stations. You choose any cycle with gear, very nice. I've used it myself. And you use your app and you pay whatever is the fee, 5 rupees for 30 minutes or whatever, for the time you use till you dock it again on another of the 25 docks. This has also been proved very, very popular, especially with the young crowd. And even for the women, we have started every Sunday at 4 o'clock at the NKD football ground and on the outside road, periphery road around the football stadium. There is training for cycling. So there are cycles, there are first aid boxes. You're sure to fall and get a scratch. So there is a bandage nearby. And there are trainers completely free of cost. And we are doing this. We are doing this to encourage people to cycle. And I'm happy to say that Newtown, Kolkata has been picked up as one of the top 10 cities of India, where we are actively making segregated cycle tracks, colored cycle tracks, dedicated cycle corridors, cycle repairs. Therefore, there's a mobile repair clinic that we have done in a private partnership. And you make a call, pay 50 rupees, and it will be there with you to repair your cycle. We also have 400 e-cycles. E-cycles are battery powered, but these are not scooters. They have a pedal also. In case you run out of the battery and you are stuck somewhere, no worry, you pedal it away from the rest of the place. So that is also proving to be pretty successful. So we are saying that in the urban mobility scheme, we are emphasizing heavily on zero emission vehicles and trying to grow an ecosystem, trying to raise consciousness, trying to change the building rules of the city. We have made car parking for electric vehicles, 2-3 car parkings you have to make and reserve for electric vehicles to encourage people, and there will be a charging station nearby. So while you are shopping or seeing the movie, you can get your car charged up or at least topped up to an extent. We think that electric vehicle or zero emission vehicles can be pushed into the system from 2 sides, from the upper end and from the lower end. The lower end, which I briefly touched upon, is about the 3-wheelers, the totos. In common language in Bengal, we call it auto, is by CNG or petrol or diesel, and totos are battery run. So totos, is there a better way to make it more efficient, make it more friendly, make the batteries more accurate, and make a charging ecosystem from them only? And this is an approach that is being taken by some of the auto companies as well, like Mahindra's, that they said that they are trying to attack the issue from the bottom level, how to convert bottom level scooters, motorcycles, 3-wheeler autos, tempos and other things, switch over to the zero emission mode. And one, of course, is at the top end, where the Tesla, the 2 models have recently been decided that they will put up in India. So a very high model, and they want to get into this winged motor vehicles for the fancy, for the people who can afford it. And of course, from the middle rank, also the middle class Indians who can buy it. So, but basically the approach is to look both at the lower end of the personal segment and the higher end of the public segment, and of course, the public transportation. So number one, we have been holding regular citizen interactions to hear their voices. Here we even in the peak of Corona, we have held Zoom meetings region-wise, RWA-wise, and we have had very detailed conversation. Everybody sitting at their home, telling their problems, sharing their ideas. Number two, we have got a 24/7 helpline. It is run by a professional call center. And this number is always advertised everywhere at the bus stations, on the websites, everywhere it is circulated. So any time of the day or night, 2 p.m. in the 2 a.m. in the night, or whatever, you need to send a message, it is there. I wouldn't say it's like the 100 of police, because nothing happens immediately, but your message, your grievance, your complaint is computerized. A docket number is given and it is directed towards a concerned officer who will look at it, whether it's a pothole, whether it's a street light not working, whether water not dripping, not coming out, whatever be the nature of the problem. There is a 24/7 computerized citizen response management system in place. This I find, and we monitor it very regularly, every day, how many complaints have come, how many have been resolved. So this is something that we have always looked at. Another very recent initiative that we have done, and it has caught the eyeballs of many people, is that great social efforts are being now done by the government of West Bengal in the manner of Duare Sarkar, as they call it, government at your doorstep, and the modalities have to be told to them. Now, traditionally, this has been done through social media, through website, through newspaper advertisements, through TV advertisements at the state level. That is okay. But when you really want to drive home a message, what we do is we put a loudspeaker on the back of an auto and let it roam around the city. So this has been the traditional way of using loudspeakers to announce government programs at the city level, IEC activities. But so we have used a drone, a special drone that can carry a weight, which has got an amplifier and a music player, and we have recorded certain voices, much like what you hear in the railway stations, with a ding-dong at a start to catch your attention. And this has been going around the city. And many people have found this a very novel way of reaching out to the citizens, government communication. So through Zoom meetings, through periodic interactions with the residents, and through the call center, and through drone announcements, we are constantly in touch at the individual level with the citizens. And they do give us all kinds of feedback. Over years, over decades, the transportation specialists and strategists across the world have been emphasizing that don't go by the individual car. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of fossil fuel. It's a burden on the climate change gases. So please, share, pull a car, get into a bus, get into a metro. That has been the overarching thought in the policymakers' mind everywhere in the world. But this pandemic has changed it. People don't like to get into buses if they can avoid it. If you have the least amount of money, you will get into something else. So it is very necessary now, after the pandemic, to consult the people once again. The pandemic has changed a lot of things. People now are buying cars rather than getting into Ola Uber, because a shared app cab is perceived to be, I'm not saying that they are carriers of coronavirus, but they are perceived to be dirty in the virus sense of the term. So people are getting even second-hand cars and personalized mode of transport. The faith on public transportation system seems to have withered. So we therefore brought in the cycles at that point of time. And as I said, this public cycle sharing scheme and cycle network has been a huge success. People are learning cycle to use it, so to say. But this is not enough. We must understand what the people are trying to say about public transportation. Is it only the fear of COVID? What I'm saying is that it is very necessary to consult the people at both the middle class and office-going public and also the working class as to what is their perception of public transportation right now. How would they like their buses to be? If there is partition, glass partition, would it help in reverting there? If there is more frequent and therefore less number of people standing and not all those crowded buses, would it help? Would it help if there are now a less number of stops in between the origin and destination, like there's express buses? Or would they like to go step by step, slowly, gently? So it's very necessary to gauge the mood of the people post-pandemic for the public transportation. The whole thought process has been disrupted. The whole policy gamut has been disrupted. So now where do we go? So this is one reason why we are at this point of time, we are taking e-polls on set questionnaire, we are sending out forms, we are trying to gauge people's reaction on a large number of issues relating to public transport. So if it's not only public transportation, but in other areas as well, for example, the traffic police, the other stakeholders, the NGOs, the auto union, and the others, they are also being consulted about their perception. For managing the city level transportation fleet, we would also like to see whether that is what is needed. That is where intervention must be done at the city level so that everybody's concerns are addressed and everybody's problems are minimized. I think the whole strategy of public transportation needs to be relooked. This work from home phenomenon has changed the way working people move. Senior citizens don't move in any case. They are pensioners, happy to be healthy and looking at their Netflix. The children are doing online classes from their homes, don't need to go to school. And the working population, the youth, the millennials, they are also very happy working from their homes. Therefore, we need to create models, as I will presently say, that will tune to this idea. A huge amount of work, education is happening from homes. So people are, and also e-commerce, you can get everything from home. In a city context, the travel thing is going to go down. And if it's going to go down, what do you need instead? So what is the need? The need is to have residential level, small working pods. And I'm happy to say that we have very recently opened a very, very fantastically designed working pod at a princely sum of 20 rupees per hour. You pay 20 rupees per hour, you get an air-conditioned space, you get free Wi-Fi, and you can buy coffee also. There's a Xerox machine also, tiny thing, only 20 seats in a locality, not in an office area, not in industrial township authority, but in local mahallas. You just get a few 100 square feet of land and build a working cocoon. So these kinds of thoughts, these kinds of new interventions where you analyze why people travel in a city in the first place, and is it possible to even lower their demands of traveling? So these kinds of intervention, I think, are very good. And we are also thinking of a macro intervention to avoid moving people. We are saying walk to home and take an elevator to home. We are designing a vertical city. So the residential sector will be on the top 30 floors, the middle section, working section, office section, startup section in the middle 30 floors, and the bottom 30 floors will be commercial spaces, retails, shopper stop, and everything else. So these kind of compact cities in the urban sector, under urban planning sector. So I would say, your question was, what do you suggest other cities do? I would suggest that look at the transportation issue at its very basic.